Tonight on To The Point, Capitol Public Radio and mismanaged funds. What's next following a months-long investigation into former board members and possible conflicts of interest? Plus, continuing coverage as local tiny home projects are left unfinished. Employees are without work.
I'm thinking, what am I going to do next?
What attorneys say you can do to protect yourself.
Mainly in the 90s today. Tomorrow's going to be the hottest day of the week, near 105. And then I'm tracking a cool down, headed into the weekend.
And later, what we can verify about Trump's connections to Project 2025. Well, first tonight, we're following breaking news. Sacramento City firefighters are battling a grass fire near Sacramento International Airport. This is a live look at the scene near West Alberta Road and Powerline Road. We're told the fire is burning north towards Sutter County. One home in the area has been evacuated and crews are being assigned to structure protection. We have a crew at the scene and we'll bring you more information on air and online as we get it. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on To The Point. I'm Becca Hobbiger. Alex Bell has the night off. Now, just hours ago, we received an independent review of Capitol Public Radio. It found evidence of possible conflicts of interest from former board members. And tonight, anchor Chris Thomas joins us with exclusive reaction to this major report.
Yeah, Becca, I just spoke to the president of Sac State because keep in mind, they oversee Cap Radio. And the president now says someone should actually go to jail. Take a look.
Someone should be facing jail time. I mean, if you think about the level of egregiousness and what happened here, this isn't just a simple mistake.
I spoke exclusively to Sacramento State President Dr. Luke Wood just moments after he released a scathing months-long forensic examination of financial mismanagement at Capitol Public Radio, which is licensed to Sacramento State. I'm hearing you say that this report was not only disappointing, but sad.
Yes, very sad. And you have to look at the outcome of it, right? People were hurt. The campus was impacted. The community lost trust. Those are never the kind of things that you want to walk into as a new president.
Remember, Cap Radio laid off 12% of staff and canceled music programs because of financial issues.
What happened is that there were a lack of financial controls, and one person had the ability to sign things without there being any counterbalance within the organization, and that person used that position and that unique setup to be able to personally benefit from Capitol Public Radio.
Dr. Wood tells me he's taken steps to make sure this never happens again.
We brought in their financials to the campus, so now the campus is managing the financials of Capitol Public Radio. And one of the benefits of that is it actually helps us to address many of the issues that came out in the audit.
The independent forensic exam found a spouse of one of the former board members held an ownership interest in the property under consideration for the new headquarters. The audit found more than $460,000 in payments was disbursed to a former Cap Radio leader referred to only as subject number 1, without evidence of expense reports or receipts.
We have shared an unredacted version of the report with law enforcement.
The review also found Capitol Public Radio paid an additional more than $300,000 for purchases that may have been made by subject number 1, but supporting documents weren't available or found.
You know, fortunately, we've had a turnover in the board, we've had a turnover in leadership at Capitol Public Radio. We're in a position where now I feel like we're moving forward in the right way.
But Dr. Wood says he hopes releasing this forensic exam sends a clear message.
When people violate the public trust for personal benefit, that there's an outcome for that, and that we hold people accountable, and that we don't push, sweep things under the rug, and we don't look the other way.
Now I have more of my exclusive conversation coming up tonight at 11, including his message to Cap Radio employees and the future of Cap Radio here in Sacramento. All new tonight at 11 on ABC 10.
In other news tonight, the unhoused community in Sacramento's Arden Arcade neighborhood is on edge after someone stabbed 2 unhoused men in the face Sunday morning. It happened in the area off El Camino and Howe Avenues. One of the men, in his 30s, is in the hospital in critical condition. Another man, described as being in his 60s, was also hurt and taken to the hospital.
It's a very violent attack. These stabbings are, again, very up close and personal, and to do it to someone, again, right in the face, this was not accidental. This was not done with anything other than some very violent and ill intent. So, again, we're looking for a very violent person.
Detectives are working to identify the suspect in these stabbings, and the sheriff's office is asking anyone who may have driven by or have any information to please come forward. Well, tonight we're continuing our coverage of a story we first brought you last week right here on ABC 10. Homeowners, subcontractors, and now employees are calling out a Fair Oaks-based company for failing to finish contracted ADU projects and failing to pay wages. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen has been following this story and shares with us what local employment attorneys suggest these employees can do to get the money they're owed.
Becca, last week, many employees from Anchored Tiny Homes told me they were told to go home early after getting an email from the company's president that the company cannot make payroll. Today, 2 employment attorneys tell me there are options for these employees, but it may take some time.
I'm thinking, what am I going to do next?
Last week, John Weinheimer told ABC 10 he got notice his employer, Anchored Tiny Homes, would not be able to make payroll.
I'm one of dozens and dozens of employees who are owed for the work they've already done, not to mention losing their jobs.
As the current state of the company is unclear, employees like Weinheimer are left wondering if they'll ever get that paycheck if the company is financially unstable.
They're definitely going to have to deal with back wages because it has such a very high priority. Other creditors of the company will have to take a back seat before they can recover to the employees' wages. It's called a super priority.
Eric Lambden is an employment attorney and says if the company files for bankruptcy, it can be beneficial to the employee. He also encourages employees to file a complaint with the state's labor commissioner's office, but warns that route could take a long time.
The labor commissioner's office is buried with this type of thing and it takes a long time. It's a very slow process.
Failing to pay employees in a timely manner can also result in fines on the company. David Mistagni is also an attorney in employment law.
If the work is not paid for on time, those employees would be entitled to a $100 penalty for the first violation and then a $200 penalty for each subsequent violation, as well as an additional 25% of the amount that they were shorted.
ABC 10 tried to reach out to Anchored Tiny Homes CEO Colton Paulus to ask about his plans to pay back his employees. We did not hear back.
Now, Jeannie, you think about all those employees trying to pay the bills, support their families during this tough time. I know there's still a lot that's unclear, but you have reached out to the Sacramento County DA's office to ask if they're investigating. What's the latest?
Well, Becca, last month, the homeowner who hired Anchored Tiny Homes did write a letter to the Sacramento DA's office to look into the company since her project was left unfinished with no answers. Now, today, a spokesperson with the DA's office told me they do have the letter, but will not be adding any additional comment. I did do a wage claim search with the state's Department of Industrial Relations, and it shows Anchored Tiny Homes is under investigation from a complaint filed in May 2023. There doesn't appear to be any claims filed in 2024 so far.
Well, tonight, a new push to keep Camp Resolution open. The Sacramento Homeless Union filed an injunction today in Sacramento County Superior Court to stop the city from closing the self-governing camp at Colfax Street and Arden Way. It comes as the nonprofit leasing the land Camp Resolution sits on, that's a group called Safe Ground Sacramento, terminated its agreement with the city last month against the wishes of camp residents. That lease is set to end this Saturday. We reached out to the city of Sacramento for comment. They responded saying, in part, the lease agreement involving Camp Resolution is between the city and Safe Ground Sacramento. The people currently staying at the site are guests of Safe Ground Sacramento. Pursuant to the lease agreement, Safe Ground Sacramento is required to peaceably vacate the premises and deliver the site vacant of all guests upon termination of the lease. Still ahead on To the Point, what we can verify about Trump's connections to Project 2025.
And a nice evening shaping up across the valley as the Delta breeze picks up. I've got 70s by sunset, but tomorrow's another hot one. Forecast after the break.
And later, Vice President Kamala Harris expected to announce her running mate in less than 24 hours. Who is on the short list? Breaking news tonight in the Park Fire. New mandatory evacuations have been ordered west of Highway 32 in the Mill Creek area in Tehama County. It's where the fire has been most active today, despite firefighters making progress on the Park Fire. CAL FIRE says the fire is now more than 406,000 acres, making it the fourth largest wildfire in state history. It is 34% contained. And ABC 10 meteorologist Brendan Minchef joins us. Brendan, talk about the weather that's fueling these fires.
Yeah, well, the Delta breeze that's making it feel pretty nice here this evening is going to help to push some of that fire off to the north. And as we take a look at the Alert California wildfire cameras, well, one of them just spun around. Now, you can't see it very well. This one was giving us a good view of the pyrocumulus that we were looking at. But here from Colby Mountain, this one zoomed out again. So this is looking kind of north into the fire from the south, and you can see how active it is. Now, the plume is a little bit lower than what it's looked like over the last couple of hours, but you see how puffy it still is, indicating fire activity is still very extreme. Current winds right now, just 8 miles per hour in Sacramento, but 25 in Fairfield, about 10 miles per hour Stockton and Modesto. And as this wind, as this wind works its way up north through the valley, that southerly wind is going to help to kind of push the fire around over the next few hours. So the hot, dry conditions have certainly given this fire new life, along with the wind that we're starting to see develop. And it is in a very wooded area with a lot of fuel that has not burned in at least 30 years. So through this evening for us across most of the valley, it's going to be a very pleasant evening, but of course it is making the firefight more difficult up to the north. If you're waking up early on Tuesday morning, 64 Sacramento, 63 Stockton, 66 in Modesto, 60s and 70s in the foothills with some clouds, which will help to keep a little bit of heat in overnight tonight. Tomorrow afternoon does look to be the hottest afternoon of this work week. 105 up in Colusa, 103 Sacramento and Elk Grove, Stockton 103 as well, 104 Modesto, 90s and triple digits in the foothills. That's as that high pressure sits overhead, but it starts to push back going into the weekend, and this is going to send our temperatures back towards seasonally average. So tomorrow +9, +7 on Wednesday, but then look towards the end of the work week into the weekend, just about 3 or 4 degrees warmer than normal. And then check out what happens towards the end of our 10-day forecast here. 90s through the weekend, but then some low 90s and even some upper 80s to start next week, Becca.
Some more comfortable temperatures. Thank you, Brendan. Well, next on To The Point, our Verify team looks into possible connections between Trump and Project 2025. Plus, major changes are coming to SMF, how they could impact your flying experience. Now to the race for the White House. Tonight, sources tell ABC News Vice President Kamala Harris is still deciding who to pick for her vice president. She's expected to make her announcement by tomorrow night. And meanwhile, the Trump campaign is trying to clarify past controversial comments made by Trump's vice presidential candidate, J.D. Vance. ABC's Jay O'Brien has the latest on both campaigns.
Vice President Kamala Harris hurtling towards announcing her running mate, expected to come before tomorrow night when she and her VP pick will hold a rally in Philadelphia. Sources telling ABC News Harris met one-on-one this weekend with top contenders, including Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, but hasn't yet made a final decision.
Anything on the Veep stakes yet? I got nothing for you, man.
Meantime, Trump's VP pick, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, still facing scrutiny over controversial comments like this one from 2021.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies.
This morning, Vance's wife, Usha, responding in an interview with Fox News, calling her husband's remarks a quip.
What he was really saying is that it can be really hard to be a parent in this country, and sometimes our policies are designed in a way that make it even harder.
Recent battleground state polls showing Harris running better against Trump than Biden. On GMA this morning, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, instrumental in the Democratic effort to push Biden not to run, downplaying reports she was working the phones to pressure the president.
The only person that I spoke to about this was the president. Other people called me about what their views were about it, but I rarely even returned a call, much less initiated one.
After announcing her running mate and attending a rally in Pennsylvania, Harris will then visit 6 more battleground states in 5 days with her VP pick, introducing that person, whoever they are, to the nation. And we continue to get questions from you about the conservative agenda known as Project 2025. One of the most asked is, whether Donald Trump is involved in the project. Casey Decker with our National Verify team lays out what we know.
The director of Project 2025 has stepped down following weeks of heavy criticism directed at the initiative. The project proposes hundreds of conservative policies and contains detailed plans for quickly enacting them if a Republican is elected president. The Republican nominee is Donald Trump. But what is his connection to Project 2025? Many of you wanted to know, so let's verify using these sources. First, does Trump currently endorse Project 2025? No, he's repeatedly distanced himself from the initiative in recent months. In one post, he said, quote, "Some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. I have nothing to do with them." And just recently, his campaign issued a statement saying in part, quote, "Reports of Project 2025's demise would be greatly welcomed." But second, has Trump supported Project 2025 in the past? That's unclear. The project is led by the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank, and in 2022, Trump said this about Heritage.
This is a great group, and they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do.
That appears to allude to Project 2025, though he doesn't explicitly name it. Heritage has also produced similar plans in the past and claims that their 2017 version was highly influential during Trump's term. A year into his presidency, the foundation said, quote, "President Donald Trump and his administration have embraced nearly 2/3 of our policy recommendations." And finally, is any of Trump's current or former staff part of Project 2025? Yes. His current campaign press secretary appeared in a video promoting the project last year. The outgoing director of Project 2025 was chief of staff at the Office of Personnel Management during Trump's administration, an office instrumental to the project's plan to replace civil servants with party loyalists. And 20 of the 37 authors credited in the project held jobs in the Trump administration. For his part, Trump says if you want to see the policies he supports, read the official Republican Party platform adopted at the RNC or his own list of proposals called Agenda 47. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
In other news, the Oakland Athletics team has reached a tentative agreement to sell its half of the Coliseum. They're set to sell to the African American Sports and Entertainment Group for $125 million. Earlier this year, the group bought the other half of the site from the city of Oakland. The group's website says it plans for a, quote, thriving sports, entertainment, education, and business district on the property. As we've previously reported, the Oakland A's will temporarily move to West Sacramento next season before making their way to Las Vegas. And major changes are coming to the Sacramento International Airport. Crews broke ground today on a new Sky Bridge. It's a pedestrian walkway that will connect Terminal B to Concourse B, the airport says. The $140 million project will include moving sidewalks, escalators, and public art pieces. It's set for completion next year, and county leaders say it's coming at an important time.
This is important because we are hitting new all-time highs in passenger traffic. In FY24, we hit a new all-time high, which is really great because it's a pretty fast recovery from the pandemic. And in order to accommodate these passengers with the same high standards that we've always expected of ourselves and that our passengers have always expected of us, we need to build new amenities.
The sidewalk is part of the $1.3 billion SMF Forward program. In addition to the walkway, the plan includes an additional parking garage, more airline gates, and a new transportation center. The entire project is expected to be done in late 2027. Well, still ahead, a look at one of the largest dam removal projects in the world. Why the project is creating a divide between some locals and Native American communities. Right now, California and Oregon are undergoing the largest dam removal project in the world. For more than 100 years, a series of 6 hydroelectric dams have slowed the Klamath River to generate power for the Klamath Basin and beyond. But this controversial project is dividing residents and Native American communities along the Klamath River. Take a look.
This is the largest dam removal project in the entire world that's currently underway.
This is a lot darker than it was yesterday.
The before and after of the Klamath River is devastating.
When the river heals itself, we as humans will also feel that healing.
It isn't that we haven't been heard. They've heard us. They've just flat out ignored us.
They're a little concerned that you're dumping in the water.
This is part of the plan, and there's nothing to be concerned about.
It is what it is. We're not going to be there. We're going to be standing at the front of this.
Declare a state of emergency.
It's time to take action.
Misinformation and conspiracy theories have always been surrounding the dam removal project.
As a news source, I just want to say this is the fact.
Tribal members have been fighting for their right, for their sovereignty to be on this river.
Water's our life. These dams took away our culture and our religion.
Dam removal is just the beginning.
By the end of 2024, 4 dams will be removed and more than 400 miles of native salmon habitat will be restored. You can watch part 2 of the Klamath Dam removals Thursday at 6:30 p.m. right here on To The Point. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Have a safe and Delta breeze-filled evening. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, it's Alex. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. The To The Point team and I love hearing from you, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. And don't forget, you can always email me and the team at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send us a text message at 916-321-3310.